everyone, welcome back here. So I started a no buy year in January, and 12 days into the month, I can tell you that it has been challenging. We're just going to be chatting. You will see my face at some point, but for now, I think the most important thing is for us to have continuity. So if I think about sitting down, having lights on, making a video in dark London, you will struggle to see any videos from me. I would never make a video because if you do not know, in England at this time, it is good morning and it's good night. There is no good afternoon in between. So I do not necessarily find a no buy year difficult, but I have found it challenging. You might say that, those are choice of words and that difficult and challenging are one and the same thing. I do not necessarily agree. You might just say that is semantics, but I would say that it's not difficult because no one is forcing me to do it. But it is challenging because sometimes I have to remind myself as to why I am doing it. I have to be disciplined. It's like losing weight. You don't have to lose weight, but when you know your whys, if you know that you're going to have a heart attack or the pressure is really high or the doctor has said to you, if you don't lose weight, you're going to die, then you might find it very difficult and very challenging. Oh my gosh, I think we're just going around with these words, but let's just say that it's not been difficult for me. It is challenging. What do you think? Do you think that it's difficult for you, or do you think that it's challenging? Sometimes I have to remind myself why I am doing a no buy year, and that's because I have surplus at the end of the month. But what if you do not have a surplus at the end of the month? What if, for instance, your salary is £2,000 and your mortgage is £2,000? Don't worry about food and all of that. Let's just take a mortgage and a salary. They are on par. Say you have been taken to court in the past, the bailiff have visited your house. You have children, you need to feed them. You also risk losing your home. You are likely to remember your whys, except you have a money problem like gambling, or you're just refusing to face the consequences of buying designer shoes with your £2,000, which is, equal to your mortgage money. Another scenario is if you do not have money, but your salary is £2,000. But this time your mortgage is more. Your mortgage is £3,000, meaning that you have a shortfall of £1,000, meaning that you might never be able to successfully save money. You have more needs than your income, and those other needs include, for example, feeding. If your feeding money costs £500 a month, then you will never be able to meet the needs of a mortgage, which is £3,000, and feeding, which is £500, meaning that your needs are £3,500, but your income is only £2,000. You would always have a shortfall. That's why in my last video I suggested that if your needs are more than your income and you always have a shortfall, then you want to increase your income, and obviously the amount of money you save would have to reflect your needs. So you're not going to be saving your mortgage. So if you save money from your mortgage money and you have a shortfall, then obviously the interest on the mortgage will supersede the money that you save. Using these examples and applying it to a no buy year, you are likely to struggle with a no buy year if you have more needs than income. If you have to buy food, then it is a need. If you have to buy a designer bag, that is a want. And people struggle to discern the difference between having a need and having a want. Your need is what you need to survive. Your want is something that you actually think that you need. I always like to say that I do not need what I want. Well, imagine that you have a surplus every month, which is where I fall in. So you have the money, but you are choosing to save it. From my 2 weeks of a no buy year and from being frugal since I can remember, I can tell you why you fail to save more money even though you have a surplus. I can tell you why you have already failed 12 years, or rather 12 months. I can tell you why you have already failed 12 months. I can tell you why you have already failed 12 days into the month of January. And this is the reason why you have failed. And I haven't gotten this from, the internet or from any books. I have gotten this from my experience. I will still tell you whether I have failed these 12 days. You will fail because you have a surplus and you forget that every penny matters. So you believe that out of your surplus of, say, £1,000 a month, if you spend just £200 on shoes, then that is insignificant. Applying it to myself. If I have a surplus of £1,000 and I buy a designer bag for £200, I haven't done anything wrong because that surplus is my money. I've worked very hard and now I have a designer bag. But if I want to buy a house of £200,000 and I take £200 from my surplus, it means that I am not meeting my goal of £200,000 because I am £200 less £200,000. Makes sense? So I would fail in my no-buy year. Another reason why you fail in your no-buy year is because, like I said before, you set unrealistic goals. So if you do not have enough money to save and you're saying, oh, I want to be one of the people who does a no-buy year where I save £500 a month, then like I said before, your mortgagee, that's your mortgage provider, will take you to court. You will pay the mortgagee's expenses. Just say the bank, the lender. You will pay the lender's expenses. You will pay their costs. There is a fixed fee for a bank, and they will usually go for that fixed fee when they repossess a property. But you're paying costs, you're paying disbursements, you're paying expenses, you're paying fees, and you're also paying the interest that continues to accrue on your mortgage. So if you are saving £500 that's supposed to go to your mortgage, then that is really being silly because you're spending all of these monies that I have mentioned. If you have a shortfall, how can you really save if you do not have an income? But if you have savings, you also have a surplus. Like I said before, you have a surplus of £1,000 every month, and you continue to restrict yourself like you would restrict yourself if you were dieting. So you just wake up one day and you say, I want to do the ketogenic diet. I just want to eat meat and cheese every day. And you know that, like me, you love your carbs. I'm not a meat eater, but I love my carbs. You would fail because you have set unrealistic goals. Why don't you try day after day to limit your carbs until you get to the final point? That is how a no-buy year works. The fact that you have failed doesn't really mean anything. You just need to pick yourself up and carry on. You can also fail because you have emotional ties to things. So some people are very materialistic. Like some people are self-confessed materialistic people. They buy because they like to buy. And not just because they have a spending habit, but because they like to own physical things. I do not like to own physical things. In fact, the fact that I own physical things sometimes can make me very overwhelmed, but I like to spend. And I find that it's not the spending that makes me happy. It's the fact that I like to buy a bargain. I like a bargain. So if something is £100 and I see it for £10, then I'm buying that thing even if I do not like it. You might fall in those shoes. So it might be you have emotional attachments to things because, for instance, maybe your parents just never gave you enough when you were growing up. You were poor and you decided, once I make money, I'm just going to buy. Yeah. Or you might find, like me, that because you don't do a lot of social media, because I don't do Instagram, I don't do Facebook. I have them, I just don't go there. I can do without them for many years. I find I like to scroll. So when I've worked so hard for my break, rather than maybe just going and reading a novel or whatever it is that people do, watching a movie, I just like to scroll to see if I can buy a new skirt or a new jacket for work. And then you buy the extras. So I tell you now, I failed in my no-buy year because I went and bought shoes for my daughter online, and I ended up buying maybe a shirt or maybe a jacket. I actually have forgotten what it was, but it was after I bought it that I thought, oh, what have I done? And I noticed that I only bought it because I was using a store card. So I would say if you want to do a no-buy year, keep away from store cards. We will talk about credit cards, store cards, and all of that in another video. But because all I needed to do was click and then those items get delivered, I actually just never really noticed that I had popped in a white shirt, which I can boldly say is for work. So it's a necessity in some kind of way. But I can also say that I do not need that shirt because I have so many other shirts. You might be like me, it might be that you're thinking I'm buying things because I need them, they are important, but really you've forgotten to look back and actually see that you have these things already. You don't need to buy them. This one my son bought. It's supposed to be a jumper, but this is just like a shirt. So this is definitely going back, except he wants to keep it because the whole essence was to get stuff. You know, my kids play rugby, so they really never get cold, and it worries me because I want them to be warm. And that's why I'm buying, very thick jumpers. And these are not bad for their prices, but this is extra large, which he chose, which I find too big. So the ones that have come through were too large for him. My hands are dry. Keep washing. Well, we're going to be delivered in 3 weeks. These I would need when I'm in the office. When I'm in the office, I wear very flat shoes. So these are nice. This will keep me warm. These are basic for me, but after these, I don't need anything else. I've gotten everything that I need for a while now. So this will tide me on. I bought this for my daughter, but it's going to go back. So try not to restrict yourself too much. But if you have failed, well, move on. It happens. And if you do have emotional ties to things, it might be why you spend so much. If you have psychological habits like just scrolling when you're bored, which is me, then you need to start thinking, do I want to avoid those sites? One thing that I do that works for me is if I feel like I want to scroll, I do not limit myself. I actually scroll. I actually put things in my cart and then I just walk away. I'm that disciplined. I don't need to pay for them. I find that the satisfaction that I have is not from spending money. It's actually from looking at things and looking at bargains. So I did say in one of the videos that I like charity shops. I do not necessarily go to charity shops, but I like the style of charity shops. I have seen some very good charity shops. And I talk about charity shops because one, I like a bargain and there is a bargain there. And two, I do not like uniform things like I said before. And three, that's the way that I distress, by looking at things. I do not know if I am nosy because naturally I'm not nosy, but like looking at things that people have chucked out of their houses makes me curious. I just wonder what kind of house throws away a very old shoe like this, or what kind of house throws away a very nice shoe like this. That is how I kind of think. And the fact that you find so many odd bits in a charity shop keeps me intrigued. And you might know from my other channels that I had many years ago, which are still on there, that every time I traveled on holiday while other people went to look at museums and all of that, I always found myself in a market. So I like market style kind of shopping, which I think is why I like to look in charity shops. But I can look and not buy. So if there's anything that I've told you, I'm saying to you, you might find that you can put things in your cart and you do not buy them, or you might find that you want to avoid a shop by all means. That brings me to the next reason why you fail. You fail because you put yourself in that place where you fail. If you have a problem with food, do you really want to work in a bakery? That's one of the reasons why I do not bake. My sister bakes so well, by the way, and she has a baking business where she trains people. But the one reason why I stopped wanting to bake, or I just really don't bake, is because I feel like if I work in a bakery, I would add so much weight because I'm just going to eat. And people who work in eateries and all of that, tell me if I'm wrong. If you're faced with food every day and you have an eating problem, or you just don't have an eating problem, you might end up eating more than you actually would have liked to. So why tempt yourself? Why go to a designer shop and look everywhere and then buy the one thing and say, oh, all the Louis Vuitton bags were £5,000, for example, but I only bought myself this mid-entry designer bag, so I really tried. But then you have all these other bags back at home that you have never used. So if the shop is on the right, I would say turn your back. Yeah, just don't be Lot's wife. You need to just turn to the left and never return. If you don't know the story about Lot's wife, when in the Bible God said to them, if I find a righteous man, I would let, the city be. Well, Lot's wife ended up turning back and she turned to a pillar of salt. Do not turn back. Do not turn to a pillar of salt. Yeah. If you want to be successful on your no-buy, then avoid places that tempt you, like restaurants, like going out with those friends that go out every other week and spend £100 on, food when you haven't even paid for your mortgage or you haven't saved for a mortgage. Why do you need a designer bag? Or, well, I'll keep that for another video. If you haven't paid for a roof over your head, please, why are you eating the lobsters? Why are you taking pictures? Like, who wants to see your pictures? Like, who really cares? The likes do not amount to money. So please be wise. The next reason why you fail is because, like I said, you like bargains. So you like sales. You want to buy everything just because it's on sale. So I've said to you, why don't you just stop buying and save? What I did last year was for 6 months, I did not spend. And then I bought a bag that I actually did not like. I might never wear, but I felt like it was an investment into myself. The other time when I spent nothing for 2 years, all I bought myself, and you would never understand this, was a jumper. And one of the days I will ride the jumper and I will wear that jumper. I think I bought it in 2019. I've never opened the bag. I bought it on the day before Christmas. And I felt so happy buying that jumper. And like I said to you, I will show you that jumper whenever I find wherever I kept it. So sometimes you're really buying things, not because you want them, but because they mean something to you. So that bag means that you've worked so hard, or that jumper means that you have attained a particular goal. So I would say don't restrict yourself from those things that, make you really happy. But then if you really have other bags or jumpers, do you really want that jumper or that bag? They say that absence makes the heart fonder, but I believe that absence can actually make the heart forget as well. So if you're triggered by shopping, then like I said to you, take the opposite road. Abstinence works. But for other people, abstinence causes for them to have an increase in desire. So like the philosopher said, man, know yourself, know how to restrict yourself so that you do not fail. And then like a diet, you decide, no, this is not for me. It actually works. Know your why, know why you're saving money, and you would do it. Yeah. If you, like me, like I said to you, I failed in my no-buy challenge, but am I beating myself up? No, I bought a white shirt, which I am going to enjoy to work. And I also have the option to return it and just decide, well, I just never bought anything since January. So I have that option. So it's an option. You can return things that you have bought, especially if you are what they call a shopaholic and you have a problem, or if you have a shortage and it's not a need, it was just a want, then you can return it. I can wear my white shirt to work, and going to work means that if I look nice, I get an income. I don't have to look nice, I find, to get an income. But, well, if I wear the shirt and I make an income, I can justify wearing that shirt. I have really gone over, so I'm going to leave you here. But in my next video, I'm going to talk about other things, like when you have failed, what to do. I would say here, if you have failed, that's you saying that you have failed. You haven't failed. You were successful. You just were not successful in the way that you thought. So if you did 12 days out of 12 days, kudos on you. But if you've done 3 days out of 12 days, then you have won in the 3 days. I hope that this has been quite something and that we've had a chat. Yeah, I hope that you stop listening to products and services calling your name. Some people are paying for services that they do not need. Some people have a credit card that they are spending on that they do not need, just because we have that whisper in our ears, the buy, or we're on Instagram or TikTok and we think, oh, I like that. I've only started TikTok, and the amount of stupid things I see every other day pop up somewhere saying buy. I just basically left TikTok since this year. I would go back because I do have a channel there, or whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called. And I just do a wear your wardrobe, because I actually started wearing my wardrobe last year. And that was a huge success because it made me actually look at the things that I have and avoid buying more things. So I started this wear your wardrobe, where it's very realistic and I'm just piecing up things together. It really inspired me to be able to plan what I wanted to wear before time, and even if I hadn't planned, to actually wear my wardrobe rather than buy more. So that's a tip for saving. Wear your wardrobe. I told you it was going to be chatty. I'll see you in my next one. You take care of yourself. Continue to save. Look at the fires. Whoa, watching that thing yesterday. I haven't watched the news since 2019. And I watched a clip of the fires, just Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood. Just look at people working so hard and everything was just erased just like that. I hope they have insurance. But I think the one thing I gathered from that, and from during the COVID, having my bags peel or literally perish, was that the Bible is real. It says that we should not lay up treasures on earth. We should actually know that moth, rust, locusts can actually feed on them. I will put the scripture here. Take care. Nothing is more important than your soul. So let your soul prosper. I'll see you in my next one. It's Delphine. Bye now. Bye-bye. Do not forget to like, subscribe, share. Leave a comment. I will do more videos like this. I will also do more legal videos as well. But